they succeeded in siring 3 further generations of what you could call great people.
Yeah, it's like American. It's probably the greatest family in American history. Right. I mean, the Jameses are pretty powerful, and I guess there are people that want to argue the Bushes can claim this, but the Bushes. Well, there is the first father-son president, John and John Quincy, and then George and George W. But she was the conscious founder of a dynasty. Right. Now they invested so much in John Quincy. From the time he was out of the womb, they were expecting him to become the first magistrate of the Republic. They didn't have the presidency yet, so they couldn't think that way. Like every kid in America, now women as well as girls as well as boys are told they could be president. John Quincy was told, if you don't, you're a failure, complete. And probably the best educated, best read person ever to enter the presidency, which he was a total failure at. And but you're right. But in each generation of the Adamses, first in the Abigail and John's kids, and then their kids, their grandkids, there's one person who excels, and often quite impressively, and then the rest of them end up failures. Some cases, alcoholics, drug addicts, they have miserable lives, they married the wrong person. Abigail and John's case, Nabby, the oldest and only daughter, ends up marrying this guy who was a former officer in the Continental Army on Washington's staff, graduate of Princeton, dashingly handsome, perfect choice, right? It only shows you never know, because this guy ends up being a bum, and couldn't hold down a job and loses all his money. Charles is the charmer, and it's difficult when you're reading the letters and you encountering the young kids and what people are saying about them. Charles, everybody loves Charlie. Like Charlie's, even dogs just follow him wherever he goes, and you know what's going to happen to Charlie. Charlie is going to die at 30 years of age as an alcoholic and a drug addict and living in whorehouses in New York City, despite the fact that he has a wife and 2 kids. Right. The other kid, Tommy, who's almost invisible in the correspondence, Thomas, the youngest, he looks good. He goes to Harvard. He works for John Quincy as his assistant in Prussia, but it never works out for him. And he becomes an alcoholic, and he moves back to live near his parents. He meets a local girl, and they have like 11 kids. That's the only thing he seems to be able to do. And but he's a failure.
But after that generation, there was the generation of Charles Francis Adams.
Right. Becomes American ambassador to England during the Civil War, right. And he keeps England off the side of the South.
Right.
Which is a huge achievement.
Right.
And his son writes about that right. in The Education of Henry Adams. That's the 3rd generation.
Yeah. And Henry Adams, of course, was a great friend of Theodore Roosevelt, and who was the Secretary of State?
John Hay.
John Hay.
And they also have Lodge and that whole crowd.
Right. And they helped they got us into the Spanish-American War.
Right. So he didn't like that. I mean, Henry Adams was not in favor of that.
Yeah.
But Roosevelt got us in. It's like a miracle the way that happened. Like Roosevelt's the Assistant Secretary of the Navy. The Secretary of the Navy is playing golf, and while he's playing golf, Roosevelt starts a war in the Philippines. It's like, he does it all himself. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Proceed immediately.
Right, right.
To Manila Bay.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah. So he was and of course he wrote that book, The Education of Henry Adams. So that generation, and Henry Adams' brother, Charles Francis Adams Jr., I think was president of the Union Pacific Railroad, was he not? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where it ended.
Yeah.
But that's 4 generations.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
That's pretty good. So we were talking at lunch. There's about all these people that claim to be descendants of Adams, but none of them seems to be. There's a man who's a corporate president that probably is a direct descendant, but it petered out.
Yeah,
it petered out. And Henry Adams never held office, never ran for office.
Yes, right.
And The Education of Henry Adams is about failure. It's about being displaced by time and history. You know, it's an eloquent, ironic, tragic story about his life. And you know, he marries this woman who commits suicide, and she's buried in Rock Creek Park.
Right, big statue.
Yeah, yeah. And by the way, Gore Vidal purchased the plot right next to that for himself.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law, the leader of reform in legal education and a leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full interview and for a full listing of MSL's programs, log on to mslaw.edu.